All right. So, welcome everyone. I'd like to maybe wait just one more minute, just to give people to come on in, and we can get started. Kind of a time delay there. All right, I think we can get started. Welcome everybody. Today we are going to go through our impressions of what we saw at the CES show, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas last, I guess, about 10 days ago. And just to kind of set expectations from the outset, Iterate.ai is an AI development company. We develop a number of AI applications as well as a low-code platform that lets our enterprise partners leverage AI in their apps and in their own systems. So with that background, today we are approaching the CES show through that lens of AI. Certainly the transparent TVs and the flying cars and some of the really cool consumer electronics, including there's one company that has an automatic dog vacuuming machine, and that poor puppy was getting vacuumed for 4 hours straight. I felt sorry for it, but anyway, we're not going to talk about those. We're going to talk about how just overall AI is coming into all products. We see almost at all levels. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and get started. And please add your comments into the chat and we'll go from there. All right. Thank you. So, all right. So our core thesis. And again, as I mentioned, we are an AI company. So we are going to be addressing on where and how AI is being infused into the consumer electronics. Sorry about my chair. AI is changing the core of many of these devices and will continue to push forward. And then there's also kind of a GPT like AI wrapper that will allow consumers just to talk to their toaster. Please make me a cheese melt sandwich, or please vacuum the living room at 4 p.m. Just plain English like that. That frankly right now is kind of going through Alexa, but this will be direct to the machines and it will be much more plain English. And just a brief timeline, this is completely Dave Jenkins made up by himself, but just overall, we can see that devices up until about 1985 were devices, but then as CPUs began to get cheaper, starting from then, we started to get a little bit smart devices. Maybe a microwave oven that had a little bit temperature sensors, things like that could be a little bit smarter. But now from 2020 onwards, with the advent of this GPT type systems, we'll be seeing conversationally aware devices that can anticipate the next action. Now they're doing that with kind of this, and again, just to kind of go back to the traditional product, consumer electronics has a core hardware, and then there's maybe some software around to control it. And then there's a user interface that lets people kind of interact with that software to then control the core hardware. What we're seeing now is AI is coming in at two levels. One, there is a core AI that is within the software, and this is in the cars with all the sensors and the engine sensors and the cameras on the front bumper for safety and auto braking, things like that, or even temperatures inside the microwave oven. But then also there's this GPT wrapper that's getting put on the outside of all of these to allow people just to kind of normally talk with these devices. And as we saw at CES, a number of new companies have been winning awards and taking things. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but certainly we'll be sending this PDF out to anybody who wants it. Exosystems, Rebuilder AI, Samsung Electronics, they're all building this core AI as a platform to interact with all their devices, and then more importantly, have all these devices talk to each other and provide, essentially anticipate what has to happen next, or the optimal way to go about it. And then the GPT wrapper, some other companies they're specifically going on this. The darling of the show was this Rabbit R1, which is the size of a little bit bigger than a smartphone, or maybe kind of a Game Boy. And it is, and I say Game Boy on purpose because it really does look like a toy, which is probably intentional at this point. This allows people, it's got a camera and it takes speech. And so it allows people to interact with an OpenAI GPT, what we call a large language model, in real time, or point their camera at a chessboard or at the TV or at the dog and say, what is that? And then it's smart enough, well, at least the LLM is smart enough to understand that and give a common sense explanation. Again, this is a device that purely is just that GPT plain language wrapper that allows you to interact with the world around you. Now, overview. What we'd like to do is I'd want to spend a little bit of time going through some slides about, again, just kind of the general vibe of what we saw, and maybe some of the things that you didn't see in some of the other tech articles, right? So as I said earlier, at CES, we see AI service providers at every level of every industry. And through these IoT sensors and analytics platforms and content generation, AI will be at the heart of customer experiences and the internal processes of just about every consumer electronics you might touch in your daily life. AI will optimize and manage and optimize the infrastructure, again, among these, and also on the bigger scale, industrial scale, for cars, robots, trucks, logistics, warehouses, things like that, right? However, there seems to also be right now, it's still very early, so there's a little bit of an AI choice paralysis going on. Can AI do this? Well, 99 times out of 100, yes, AI can do that. So which AI do you use, or how do we do it? That's still being decided or hotly debated amongst companies and amongst consumer-facing companies. There's no shortage of AI B2B services, but many companies don't really know where to start. Shameless self-promotion, Iterate can help you with that. So that's why we're here. I have to do that at least twice in the webinar, or else, yeah, I'm not doing my job. AI, last year at CES, we saw a lot of wearables and a lot of AR glasses, things like that. That hype has died down. We didn't want to see the word metaverse anywhere. We think that there's maybe the form factor just isn't quite there yet. These are still large AR glasses. If they have any sort of capability or battery, the battery is either on the back of the head or on the hip or something like that. The UX is still a little bit clunky. Besides Apple, Apple's got a nice UX, but the price is still pretty high for common usage. I mean, the technology is getting there, and we also think that maybe a lot of companies might be pulling their punches because they're seeing what Apple was going to do. And this was a week before Apple did its big launch of Apple Vision Pro. So, Apple might be sucking all the oxygen out of the room right now. We don't know. We'll see where that happens. Apple did sell out 200,000 units in the first 48 hours, we read. So congratulations. Let's see what happens. Apple's target demographic has always been that high-end studio designer, media interactive person creator. And so we'll see who bought those first 200,000 units and what they start doing it over the next few months. The auto industry is certainly leading the AI charge. If just to go back one, I think a lot of the common press was saying, AR glasses or the Apple Vision Pro is the new iPhone. No, I disagree. I think the car is the new iPhone. The car makes an excellent platform because it has several sensors, maybe a dozen sensors, maybe 2 or 3 dozen sensors. It's got a CPU in it. It's got maybe a GPU in it now to run the entertainment system, things like that. And so what we're seeing now is we're seeing cars are becoming a platform full of sensors with an entertainment system. They've got a captive audience of someone driving to work for 45 minutes or an hour or half an hour, wherever. And there is certainly safety and all sorts of real world concerns involved. So this is a prime opportunity for AI to both work at both levels, at the core AI around the software and the sensors to coordinate all that and provide a safer environment, but then also that plain language to where you can just speak to your car and the stereo will turn on the right music or play the right video or will lower the temperature or things like that. And we'll go into this a little bit more, but the cars are now the new platform where AI will really thrive in our lives. Just a special shout out. There's, I don't know if everybody here has been to the CES show, but in the basement is kind of where they call it Eureka Plaza, and that's where all the startups are. Eureka Plaza, a lot of country governments will come in. So there's an Israeli plaza or a Belgian pavilion or a German pavilion or a French pavilion, but the Korean pavilions, there's not just one, there was 5. They're breaking that out by region and or by university now. So the Koreans really seem to be doubling down on the CES show, both at the startup plaza downstairs, but then also in the big hall, obviously where Samsung and LG, both South Korean companies, dominate kind of the main stage, if you will. And again, just kind of some of the general points. I'm not going to go through all of these from but from what we're reading in the general press. AR, diversity, smartphone integration, the same things continue forward, but as also of note, AI is starting to infiltrate or infuse itself into just about every facet of these. Again, healthcare, education, music, sound, sensors, security. AI is playing a core role in all of these verticals. Now, let's dive into the auto industry. And again, like I mentioned earlier, cars provide an optimal platform for all these advanced sensors for safety and efficiency and convenience. But now, thanks to LLMs, large language models, we can now just speak plain English or plain Spanish or plain Japanese to our cars, and it will understand. And also the autonomous driving, there's been a couple of hiccups just because, frankly, Elon Musk was promising the moon and it's not there yet. But that doesn't mean that autonomous driving is getting worse. It's actually getting better all the time. It's just that expectations were so high that there's a little bit of disappointment right now. We're on that kind of, we're in that trough of disappointment until the real tech starts to come off, right? Next slide. So, and again, every maker and every chip maker and every level of the entire AI hardware stack is leaning heavily into the car market. That goes from Intel. Sony has now, essentially Sony wanted to make its own car, but they realized that starting from scratch is crazy. So they made a deal with Honda. So now Sony Honda has a car, but then even large industrial B2B player, large industrial players like logistics, Goodyear, parts manufacturers, they're putting AI in their systems just to, again, optimize costs, maximize efficiency. And this all goes through sensors. Sensors and AI is a great pairing. All the major labels have their own AI. Mercedes has its AI. Sony, Honda, as I mentioned, Volkswagen has its own AI. These all have their own core AI literally at the car platform level with, these 2 or 3 dozen sensors around the car. But now they've all either adopted their own proprietary LLM, plain language wrapper around that, or they've just gone with ChatGPT because why not? They've made a deal with Microsoft, and so they're just putting ChatGPT as the human speech interface for these cars. Again, some other concepts that we saw, the Honda Zero concept, very cool EV. The fuel cells, battery tech continues to advance. And again, remember this is the CES show, so this is the premier. This is one of the premier shows where we're seeing future tech that may or may not come into reality, but it certainly gives us an indicative direction on where things might go. And again, hydrogen fuel cells, the infrastructure is not there yet, but it's certainly moving very quickly. We'll see where, there's probably a niche where hydrogen fills in between the range where EVs can't reach, but then also the efficiency of gasoline is just, that's just going to be a non-starter. The problem with hydrogen is the refill infrastructure is not there yet. Kia is building a completely modular platform, and this is for fleet sales. But here again, AI is there at every level. So just assume that your car will have some sort of AI, and we will just see how the AI plays to the consumer, and or in this case, the fleet usage. Here in the middle, we saw some very cool things where you might see future mining operations or future, landscape, large earth moving operations might be completely robotic, where there's an AI platform controlling each machine, but then there's also an AI with some sort of LiDAR scanner planning the entire routes for everything. And so maximum efficiency, maximum safety, because there's no humans involved anymore. John Deere is using the same AI tech to optimize all their performance of their machines, both in marriage with satellite and weather technology, everything else. Just again, AI both on the edge, in the machine, on the platform, and in the cloud, managing the orchestration amongst all these machines. And again, self-driving, low-cost, autonomous tracking, autonomous trucking. AI is going to make all this. AI continues to push forward, and any sort of future leaps and bounds that will come forward will be mostly driven by the AI around the core industrial sensors in these machines and the software around it. Okay. The flying EVs, just a quick shout out. We saw some flying EVs there. The people that I spoke to, no one believes them yet, just because battery life and weight and things like that. Let's see what happens. But I'm a little bit skeptical. It might happen in Dubai over the next 2 or 3 years. Let's see what happens. Yes. So our key takeaways, again, AI will be the heart of all future cars. And the electronic, the EV revolution continues to move forward, despite some recent setbacks in the mass press. But if you also look at countries like Norway and China, they are reaching incredible EV saturation levels where, 2 or 3 years ago, some of these countries outlawed the future sales of internal combustion engines. They're going to meet those goals handily. Autonomous vehicles are still making strides. And again, the AI is providing a core marriage with all these sensors to enhance safety, enhance the entertainment, enhance the overall comfort, and just make a better ride for everybody. So Iterate.ai has a number of beauty clients. And so we took a particular interest in the beauty tech space. And so I'm not going to go through our full thing here, but I just want to give a couple shout outs to some of the techs that we did see. L'Oreal, the large cosmetics and beauty product or beauty device, I guess, maybe provider. They really ran away with the show this year. They won several awards. And I'll show you here in a second. But then also we're seeing hair skin analysis, personalized product recommendations, because we know that, some of us have dry skin, some of us oily skin, some of us have no hair, some of us got very nice curly hair. That's all different, human from human. This provides an optimal environment for AI to do some sort of analysis and then give product recommendations for the right cosmetics or the right hair products that, that might help me or might help someone else. So just a few of the highlights that we saw. Again, the skin profile from L'Oreal Group. There's a lot of these companies are like Chow was there in the middle. They have a sensor that you place on your skin. It will show normal light, polarized light, and then infrared light through a little light in that device. And then it takes the readings from your skin, and then it gives you the right recommendations based on humidity and moisture and, overall tone, things like that. And again, Maya Vana is a hair company out of Atlanta, Perfect Corp. Many of these, again, this home-based beauty, these small handheld devices, AI has now made the bridge between these devices and your smartphone, because AI allows ongoing linear data analysis and spot analysis of image, like we're seeing with her. We can see which areas are under moisturized or over moisturized, things like that. However, and then some more. Thank you. But then overall, I just want to touch on L'Oreal. L'Oreal came out with this thing called Beauty Genius, and L'Oreal, this Beauty Genius is their own AI platform, and it is a platform in that it has multiple LLMs, these large language models talking to each other. It allows you to take a selfie with your smartphone. It gives you advice over the smartphone. You can talk to it in plain English or plain language, excuse me. It gives you virtual try-on. This Beauty Genius is an incredible way that L'Oreal, let me go back up a couple slides. All these devices, you see the lipstick applicator or the scent station or the water saver or the screen analyzer or the color sonic for your hair or your skin analysis, things like that. L'Oreal is providing all these devices, but then it is bringing them together in a single platform along with that GPT plain language wrapper that allows you to interface with all these devices. And so the real genius play here is L'Oreal has built or is building and continues to build out an entire beauty platform based around their AI LLM interactivity with their customers. And so now to bring in new devices, that's just a matter of just industrial design and interfacing with their existing AI platform. So in other words, this Beauty Genius will be the customer's ongoing companion for their beauty regimen or their beauty schedule or whatever it might be. And then L'Oreal can add more products or add more hardware devices or add more, frankly, consumables for that. It's an incredibly insightful approach to a vertical that otherwise might. AI is not the first thing you think when you think about cosmetics, right? But L'Oreal has proved, well, actually, watch this, So congratulations to L'Oreal for that. And again, just a couple takeaways. The L'Oreal group has claimed the dominant spot in beauty tech. And then these hair skin analyses devices, if they're not on L'Oreal, they might get left behind. This space certainly has become saturated very quickly. There's a lot of scanners out there. There's a lot of, just about everybody can talk to your iPhone. The question is, to what degree does the AI help enhance that experience? So that's for beauty tech. Now, AR, just a couple quick things. We still see AR glasses there, but they didn't steal the show. And again, we think that's because, XReal has some great showings, but these glasses, either they've got very limited battery life or the UX, you kind of have to keep tapping the temple, something like that. Or even in Amazon's glasses, there isn't even a camera. Really, this is just Alexa on your head, and it's just listening all the time, and it lets you talk to it. Cool. But that's not really AR. We think that AR will have some application in logistics. For example, the Amazon driver who's coming and dropping off a product, dropping off packages on your front doorstep. She might just have a heads-up display that gives her information constantly and then just automatically snaps the picture for confirmation. Or accessibility or tourism, where we've got these transparent windows that just essentially do the tour guide live. And also gaming, haptics, big area, continues to do this. The gaming industry is now bigger than the film industry. And there are a lot of very cool, very expensive haptics devices for gloves or glasses or driving seats like that. It's almost like audio files, where the more expensive the equipment, the more it might sell, right? Now, the transparent TVs, always worth mentioning. We saw them. They're amazing. They're very bright. We think that there's an opportunity here for these transparent TVs to be merchandising in retail stores. For example, if you walked into a bakery and you saw all the lovely baked items behind the glass, that glass might actually just now be a transparent TV to give you some sort of real-time labels on which items are which and the ingredients and or how many are left or the pricing or things like that. So any high-end luxury item, again, imagine a jewelry store where everything is under that glass and all that, all the diamond rings and all the pendants and everything else and the gold. What if that glass top was now a transparent display that allowed that much level kind of marketing and or personalization or descriptions or whatever kind of merchandising add-on could go around the products. But again, the AR price, UX, form factor is still a thing, and people might be pulling their punches because they're waiting to see what Apple Vision Pro happens over the next 3 months. Now, some other tech that I want to go into. And again, we'll send this PDF out. There's a lot of slides, so we're not going to run through them all here. but just sustainability continues to be a major theme. Health continues to be a major theme. This lipstick applicator allows actually for shaking hands or people that got motion stabilization issues. For example, maybe from Parkinson's or MS, things like that, they can still apply makeup. Very nice. Again, more health. And the transparent TVs, we talked about that. Security continues to go forward. Facial recognition is now pretty much anywhere you want it with an AI platform. So it's coming down to a matter of the legality or the liability of who takes and who is able to take a computer vision or a scan of your face and where. That's no longer a technology problem, that's a legal problem, which is being resolved the same way that they always do in the courts. Food tech continues to move forward. And again, more automation. McDonald's was not at the CES, but everyone was talking about McDonald's. McDonald's certainly will be, there might be completely humanless McDonald's stores here in the next 2 or 3 years, because again, with the LLM self-ordering and then the fully robotic kitchens on the back end, there might not be anyone inside the McDonald's in 3 years. And again, that rabbit that we described is kind of this toyification of interfaces. That might be just a generation thing where kids have been running around with Nintendo Game Boys for the last 20 years, or small plastic devices like this. Well, why not make that more the common interface for people? We'll see how that goes. Smart mirrors, yes. And again, drones continue to move forward, although here again, it's becoming a legal issue, not necessarily a technology issue. And yes, keep going. Yeah, we'll go past this. All right. So some spotlights. This Bonex was a lovely small device. This is the size of a water bottle, a Stanley cup, if you will, if I can reference what the kids are into now. But it's got the 6 base chemicals around it, and it allows an instant mixing of the chemicals for your foundation or for your night cleanse or whatever that might be. It also is using AI to understand humidity levels and weather and temperature and things like that. And so it's giving you an optimized mix all the time. Chow, as we had talked about with the beauty tech. VCAT, which is a very nice little, you point a URL at it and it instantly takes all the product photos and the product description, and essentially it gives you a text to video instant TikTok, if you will. It was very cool. And then SklaNet, shout out to SklaNet, some friends of ours. Well, they're new friends of ours because we really like this robot. They want to be the first retail robot that can act on the floor. After hours, it can do an inventory count, but during hours, it could follow customers around and do an instant checkout here, because this camera, any item you place on the little black tray there on the waist of the robot, can do an instant checkout. It can also answer questions. The idea here is that rather than task-specific robots, they want to build a generalized robot that can do multiple things. The humanoid robots from Boston Dynamics and also Tesla are moving in the same direction. So I think that is most of the material that we had. That's most of the material we had today. So thank you. Let me take that up. That's most of it, half hour here. Are there any comments or questions anyone would like to go through? I don't know if I can see yeah. David Johnson just said, hi, John Nordmark. Okay. Are there any other comments? Okay, well, thank you for your time today. And again, if anyone would like this presentation today as a PDF, please reach out to us and we're happy to mail this out. Thank you for your time.